Hi everybody, welcome back. So some exciting video clips to share with you. We actually got to go see the sea puppies. They were everywhere because we've been very, very lucky thus far. I mean, it is the Highlands, so the weather does change within the hour, but we've had a lot of sunshine. So when the sun comes out, the seals like to come out of the water and rest and have a good sunbathe. So that was really exciting. Today we're off on a little adventure once I've finished filming, and we're going to go discover one of the Scottish beaches. They're apparently so beautiful. They are just like the Caribbean, although you have a slightly different temperature, shall we say. So you may not see me running into the water and going for a swim, but if we did get there and it's successful, these are the images and the photographs that we took. So with regards to royal news, people are still going on about Catherine's hair. You would not believe the hoo-ha that has been created with Catherine dyeing her hair a few shades lighter. I think she's only had it lightened. It's not like she's come out with a Marilyn Monroe, bleached white blonde hairstyle, but it is honestly amazing the amount of people that are getting upset, some of them a little bit irate, all because of Catherine has lightened her hair. It goes to show that Catherine really does have an effect on lots of people. I personally really like her hair, no matter what colour she's got it, but then I'm biased because I think she's beautiful. And I also think that it's her hair. But mainstream media, there's been a couple of articles that have come out where they're not being particularly nice about it, and they're deliberately stirring up more, I don't know whether you call it hatred or they're just trying to get negative comments, but it's clear to me that this campaign of trying to tarnish the Prince and Princess of Wales over something as ridiculous as moving house and now dyeing her hair a different colour, you can see that the vindictiveness is still seeping through with some of these so-called royal commentators and royal reporters. But a story did come out that you would have thought some positive coverage, and it was just the latest sets of accounts coming from the Royal Foundation. In 2024, the Royal Foundation raised 12.2 million, of which they gave away 11.9 million away to charities and various organisations and grants. So what's that? 85, 90% of their donations that they've received, the amount of money that they've managed to raise, they've given it away. Their biggest donation went to the Homewards Initiative, which is Prince William working towards ending homelessness in the UK. They received 4.37 million. 2.2 million has gone towards the Early Years programme, where Catherine is concentrating on improving services for parents and children from birth to young adults. 1.78 million went to United for Wildlife, which is Prince William working towards the protection of endangered wildlife and ending the illegal wildlife trade. And 1.5 million went to emergency first responders. We can see where the money is being spent. We can see who is benefiting from it. We can understand what these organisations or what these concepts or these projects that money is being invested in actually do. And then when you compare it to the couple in Montecito and their foundation, well, they give foundations a very, very bad name because they made sure to register it in Delaware, which is kind of secretive. It's a place where you can get away with a lot of, dare I say it, a little bit of tax evasion, moving stuff around. The fact that Harry and Meghan have got like 12 companies set up over there, don't think for a second that money doesn't go here, there, and all over the place. It still always bamboozled me, as it were, that they were allowed to put money from Sussex Royal when it closed down into Travelist. When Harry and Meghan were part of the Royal Foundation, they obviously broke that apart, and then Harry and Meghan had Sussex Royal. When Sussex Royal, they were not allowed to take that when Megxit was declared, and the Queen said no, no, no. The donations that were wrapped up with Sussex Royal then got transferred to Travelist, and this caused a charity investigation. And whilst they ruled that nothing underhanded had gone on, Travelist is not a charity. So I've always found it really, really dodgy that charitable donations raised for a royal foundation got put into this organisation. And I think a lot of people are beginning to start looking at everything that Harry and Meghan are involved with. We've had 2 new people in the space of a matter of months leave Travelist. You had someone that had been there for, I think, 18 months, which was their first chairwoman. And then you've also had their chief executive quit a matter of months later. She was there for 5 years, admittedly, so that's not that unusual to change jobs after 5 years. But it's the fact that 2 people have quit in quick succession. And the last time we saw that was sent to Bali, and that was right before the shit hit the fan. Now, it's not just Travelist that has seen a shift in people deciding to leave. There is also somebody that has just handed in their notice over on at the Invictus Games. And this is Harry's friend, Royal Marine Reservist and Invictus Games gold medalist, JJ Chalmers. Whilst he is staying on as an ambassador, his commitments on TV and as a father have apparently left him with not a lot of free time. But I want to ask the question, what is it that they actually do, the trustees, the ambassadors for the organisation, or in fact the founder, as he calls himself, the sole founder, which he wasn't? What do they actually do? What is taking up so much of their time? Because I don't know about you, but I never see anything to do with the Invictus Games outside of when Harry and Meghan have an all expenses paid trip to use it as a platform to promote themselves. You don't see fundraisers, you don't see social media campaigns, sponsored events, you don't even see walks or runs in the Invictus Games name. There's never anything from Harry or Meghan raising awareness or, more importantly, funds for the foundation. Has Harry even ever put his hand into his own back pocket to top up the coffers, as it were, of the Games? I don't believe he ever has, because we would have heard about it. The only fundraiser that I ever heard about for the Invictus Games was the fundraiser that was going to be sponsored by Amazon. But then Harry and Meghan signed with Netflix, their rivals, and then that dried up. Harry and Meghan did say it was because of the COVID pandemic restrictions. But if that was true, why, when the restrictions were lifted, did you not continue with it? The only thing we saw that they did with Netflix wasn't a fundraiser. They created Heart of Invictus, which went largely unnoticed. Possibly not helped because even the trailers for that, they made it about Meghan and Harry. There she was making goo-goo eyes at her husband as they were playing table tennis or something. And that's the big problem with the Invictus Games now. People associate it more with Harry and Meghan because they have turned it into the Harry and Meghan Markle show. You only have to watch the games, the footage from the games, not the ones that are aired on the TV, the few TV stations that cover it, but when people, guests, actually go to the games and they release the videos on social media. When they pan round, you can see they've compressed everybody and got them all bunched up so it looks like it's packed. But then when it pans round, you see an awful lot of empty seats outside of maybe the closing ceremony. Now, it's long been rumoured that the Invictus Games is losing a lot of veterans every single year. And I can't imagine that that's been particularly helped. To hold the games somewhere like a 5-star resort such as Whistler, I can't imagine many military families and their friends will be able to afford the costs to be able to go over there and to cheer their loved ones on. And it's especially frustrating when we read that Harry and Meghan get free private jets, that Harry and Meghan are having their expenses in part covered by the Games. Don't forget, a whistleblower came out to do with the Canada Games, and they had said that there were concerns about how much money was going across to cover Harry and Meghan's security expenses and their other expenses. Now, I also have a theory that when Harry and Meghan went to Colombia and to Nigeria, that their expenses were also in part being picked up by the Invictus Games Foundation. The reason I believe this is because of both trips, it was a blink and you miss it moment. They made appearances with Invictus Games athletes wearing the shirts. As I said, it was predominantly all about Meghan and Harry, but they did on both trips include a teeny tiny bit with the Invictus Games. And that's enough for them to say it was working expenses and to recharge. Because when the media were calling them out for the fact that taxpayers in Nigeria and Colombia had to pay a lot of money, Harry and Meghan's spokesperson came back and said there were other agencies, organisations that also, in part, picked up the cost. My gut feeling is one of those was in fact the Invictus Games. And let's also not forget that when that person did come forward, the whistleblower over at the Canada Games, saying that Harry and Meghan's expenses are causing concerns, it was around about the same time that two executives got reshuffled, which left a lot of staff upset. And it makes me wonder, did they ask the wrong questions? Did they express their concerns about how much money was being wasted on the so-called founder and his wife? And that's why they suddenly found themselves, what, unemployed? Now, in a more recent article, as of a couple of days ago, Richard Eden, a royal reporter over at the Daily Mail, has also spoken to someone, a source close to the Invictus Games. But I'm guessing by the wording, this is someone that actually works for the foundation. And they have also expressed some concerns about Harry remaining as the founder, as the spokesperson. And they are implying that they think that the Games would do better if he stepped down. The Duke has become an increasingly divisive figure, particularly in the armed forces, and that's not good for the Invictus. We are all about bringing people together and inspiring those who have suffered hardship. Now the Invictus is firmly established, it might be better if the Duke took a step back. Let's be honest, Harry is not a good representative anymore for the military in any way, shape or form because, well, he completely broke his oaths. I will be faithful to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, and I will, as duty-bound, honestly and faithfully defend Her Majesty, her heirs and successors in person, crown and dignity. Let me count the ways that Harry has completely gone back on that oath. He's also endangered the lives of serving military personnel with his comments to do with the Taliban. You have had several high-ranking military officers that have spoken out against Harry's behaviour, his attitude, and the things that he put in spare. Harry quite literally betrayed Queen and country with his attacks that he did on the monarchy, and it's not going to be easily forgotten. The Invictus Games was promoted completely differently when it was under the royal umbrella compared to how it is now, as in it is not promoted. You had hundreds of thousands of people turning out en masse when it was again still under that royal umbrella. And now you are getting further and further away from that, and you are getting more and more stories about veterans not wanting to take part, and the Games has lost support and donations. With the Games soon to be held in the UK, they are coming to Birmingham in 2027. It has been already put into the media that the Games would really like members of the royal family to attend. But of course, due to the Harry and Meghan fallout, an appearance, well, I would say it's going to be highly unlikely. The source went on to say that if Harry were to step down, they'd have no problem finding a new royal patron. Well, given the stink that Harry created as he accused Sophie Chanduka of stealing his life's work, I can't imagine there's many members of the royal family that would really want to have that sort of public face-off with Harry playing victim yet again, because they have taken over as the face of the Games. For anybody hoping that Harry will actually put the Games and the veterans first, that he will do the honourable thing, well, I just think there is more chance of seeing a pig flying in the sky. Harry has never done the honourable thing, and I don't think he's about to start anytime soon. So guys, tell me your thoughts. Do you think the Invictus Games should keep Harry on, or do you think the time has come for him to take more of a back seat? Tell me your thoughts and I will be back with you soon. Take care for now. Bye.